Welcome back to the channel, guys, and we're doing a property review today in Huddersfield where we're going to be making sure we understand the exit of this property. So this is a 3-bedroom, 3-story end of terrace property. It's been fully refurbed, looks the absolute nuts. So let's go through it, understand the numbers and work out what exit we're going to do. So something I really like about this property is the high ceilings, and it just gives this impact because it is a small property. It's almost like a 2-bed back-to-back property, small front, small rear garden, but it goes over 3 stories. But because every room is really high, and you'll see it most in the bathroom, I think, where you can see just how tall the ceilings are. All of the windows are massive. There's some sash windows and stuff like that, and it just makes it feel really homely and quite spatial, and considering the area, that's a massive positive. And again, you'll notice with this property, this is actually one we've taken on and we've refurbished it and made sure to have the furnishings in the property, because when people are going around, they're visualizing it not as a house but as their potential home. Okay, so coming through here, this is a little bit echoey, so I'll be quiet. So this is a refurbished room. Obviously the kitchen, put some cool flooring down. It's definitely not going to be to everyone's taste, but I quite like it. And then the kitchen itself is just clean, it's simple, it's your bread and butter Howden's kitchen, mid-range. It's just a nice, cost-effective kitchen, but actually it's quite homely, it's really nice. And then we've deliberately done it so the sort of sinks next to the window. It's not exactly the most scenic back doors, but it's still nice with that natural light coming in. And really small things that you might not think of, but a tiny thing like putting in a microwave and some other bit. So usually we'll put out some plates, normally we might have a table or something like that, but it's utilized elsewhere right now. Those small little things that you don't think about, putting flowers out, putting a cushion down on a sofa to pop the color. I'm not an interior designer at all, but those little things, it's constantly getting into the psychology of, can I imagine myself living here? Oh, I tell you what, it's just a northern thing. Like Huddersfield, it's just absolutely ridiculous as this. Okay, so we're in this room. This is the front bedroom, and again, the first thing you sort of notice is it's well dressed, and something I'm going to be going through the good and the bad later, but always the touch-ups, the snagging at the end. And what this does is, when you've done a new refurbishment, there's always going to be little things that are missed, and especially like a few weeks later, and you're like, and actually by having things that it's dressed, it just draws the attention to the space available to them. And again, I think this is a really nice room, neutrally decorated, some flowers to bring the color out a little bit in the room, considering it is grey right now. And again, it's just imagining living here and building that space. And again, if you check this out from these angles, just maybe further back, but the windows, again, I know it's not something I normally think of in a property, but they're really standing out to me just as these really big windows that you can open up and stuff. So really a nice addition to the property. This is bedroom number 2, and just a very quick one around this, because again, it's quite a simple space, but when you're walking into a room, a lot of people will go, well, I wonder if this can fit it. And this is actually a decent sized double room. And what you do sometimes, and a really good tip, is when you're buying stuff for your furnishings, get some double beds and things like that. But you can get these beds, which are 3/4 doubles. So it's not a single bed, it's not a double, it's just smaller than a double. But if you looked at it, the initial perception is, oh, it's a double, and you're visualizing the space around that, and again, just accentuates the space available in the room. So every time we come in a bathroom now, Alex is just asking me to get in the bath, almost like you guys are expecting it of me. So let's do this. No, I'm joking. Right, okay, so with this room, again, this is the bathroom, obviously. Small things, and it's tiny little things, but like putting towels up and stuff like that makes people visualize this room. And only a couple of things I want to say. First of all, I think they've done a really nice job. I love tiles like this. Like, I prefer bigger tiles. I think it makes it look wealthier. I know that sounds a bit of a weird thing, but I do think it makes it look a lot better than loads of little ones. I also really like these sinks and the vanity units as well. But the height of this room, just, it's a very narrow, very small bathroom, but really does just show the potential of it and the space with the light coming in. The final thing I'd sort of point out in this room is the doors. And actually, as we're going through, there's nothing special about these doors. They're your bread and butter doors, but they're not what people would normally expect. They cost about £20 extra per door, so it's not breaking the bank, but I really feel like with the handles, with the doors, it really does make a difference, and it makes it feel a lot higher end than the doors actually are. People are going to think I'm the most unfit person in the world moaning about some stairs. I ran 2 5Ks, okay? That's why my legs are hurting. Okay, so you've got this room upstairs that I really like as a space. And like, as soon as I come up here, I was saying to Alex that you can imagine it as a kid, you know, living here. Like, this would be my room, and it'd be really cool. Have the bed there, the toys, PlayStation, all of that. It's a nice little space. It can be used as a double bedroom. When you're doing this, and you're doing loft rooms, by the way, you need to make sure that you've got the safety taken into account and making sure that the stairs are done to building regs. If they're not, can you use it as another bedroom? Absolutely. Can you sell it as an extra bedroom? No, you can't. So really small thing, probably cost a tiny bit extra depending on the layout. Just make sure it's done to regs and make sure you've got safety in mind if you want to benefit from the uplift of having an extra room, which in most areas is about 15% on the value of the property. Okay, so now we're downstairs in the cellar. Just quick things about cellars, like in lower value areas, and this isn't a low value area for the area, but properties that the value is like 150 grand, maybe even 200 or less. The benefits of a cellar is just additional storage space. So making sure that it's cleared out. People can understand, usually the electrics are here, has an access to the rear guard and stuff like that. The reason for that is, unless you're doing it to a higher level, to end up using this as a bedroom, and they can be, by the way, but it's all about some light access, and you need to think about the damp. So you need to do a full tanking, which is essentially a plastic that goes up and it's tanked against the wall to stop any moisture coming in and make sure it's drying it out. And then obviously heating down here as well, because cellars get very cold. So can't really be utilized as something, but really you sort of accentuate the space by making sure it's cleared out and making sure people understand that you've got that additional storage as you're going through. So let's go through the numbers. So this property before refurbishment was available, and we managed to pick it up at an absolute stonker of a price, £56,000. Originally it's going to be about a £17,000 refurbishment, but we end up doing some additional bits, wanted the kitchen to be a little bit nicer, and we come across some complications with some damp, which we sorted out, and we ended up being in about 22,000. So we're at 78,000 there. And then it's really about those exit numbers, because the rental is amazing in the area, getting about 650 great tenants in the area. But also what we're looking at is an end value of 110 to 115,000 pounds. So there's a really great margin in there either way. So here's 3 things I absolutely love about this property. Number 1 and 2, I'm cheating, they're gonna go in halves, is the high ceilings. I think it adds a load of space. And the windows in the bedroom, I don't think I've ever commented on that, but I really do think they are great windows. Number 2 is the kitchen. I think it's a really great homely space where you can imagine the family coming together. Number 3, and possibly my favorite, is the price. 56,000 doesn't get you a lot nowadays, but apparently it can still get you a 3-bed end terrace property. So it's not all good things. Here are 3 bad things about this property. So number 1 is the garden. Although this is very similar in the area, it's not a great amount of space. Can't really visualize doing much with this if you were to live here yourself. Number 2 is the demographic of the area. Remember, you want to use Street Check to understand the logistics and demographics in the area, and this has got a slightly above average unemployment rate. So average unemployment in the UK is between 4 and 5%. This has got around the sort of 7% mark, which doesn't worry me at all. But if it started edging up to sort of like the 10% double figures, that's when I'd really start to worry about the tenant types or end buyers that you're likely to be getting. Number 3 is the parking situation. So yes, we've got to the right and left where we could turn around at the end, but as you can see, it's a pretty packed out road, and considering this is the middle of the day, it's a bit of a bugger to park, especially as on the right hand side especially, which is where I've parked, the curb is quite high. So you've only got 2 options really: either go up against it, in which case you've got to be careful because I can imagine a lot of people curbing their car down here, or parking up on the path. And even with the cars parked up, you can see it's a relatively narrow road, so not great if you've got more than one car, especially if you've got a decent car living in this area. So great property, but the question is, am I going to rent it, buy it, live in it, or avoid it? Well, let's face it, I'm not going to avoid it. I think it's a great area, great property investment, and I've already bought it, so there you go. So I'm not going to live in it. It's not really the sort of area that I'd be living in. The property's great property, but I like a bit more with garden space and stuff, and a little bit of a bigger property for me personally. So it really comes down to renting it and buying it. And I'll be completely honest with you, it could be either one. It's really difficult for me, but I've made the decision to buy it. Now, if I was renting it, the reason I love it is it's pretty much an all money out deal, and it's getting an insane return on capital, obviously, on those returns. But this is where the criteria comes in. People say, well, why do you package on a deal if it's that good? Well, this is a great example. It really is an amazing deal myself, but it's outside of my investment criteria in terms of my area, but it still makes a fantastic investment for an investor. So we're deciding to flip this one on, gonna pocket the difference, which will end up netting around 20K, but even at the purchase price of around that 110 mark, it's gonna make an insane buy-to-let property for somebody, or a nice little home for somebody to live in. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys, and just to wrap up, I really want to help other people in the property industry that are new or invested for a long time learn as much in an immersive experience. So to help me push this to more people, I'd be really grateful if you could just take 2 seconds of your time to hit the like button and let me know what you thought in the comments. There are going to be other property reviews on the way of ones that I'm purchasing or looking to purchase. And if you're new to this channel and you want to find out more, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.